The Galactic Council Hall was silent, too silent. Even the air seemed afraid to move. The great chamber, built on the capital moon of Virith, stretched higher than mountains and wider than oceans. Its silver walls pulsed faintly with light, alive with the hum of alien technologies. Around the glowing circle of judgment sat the most powerful beings in the galaxy, rulers of empires, commanders of fleets, keepers of peace. But tonight, peace was not in the air. They stared at the central hologram, the spinning blue image of a small planet, Earth. It flickered every few seconds, broken by static and bursts of light. They had seen human signals before long ago, mostly chaos, news clips, music, or something they once called movies. But this signal was different. It was not random. It was targeted. Directed straight into the Council's most secure channel. At first, the Council technicians thought it was a malfunction. No unauthorized transmission had ever broken through their encryption in centuries. Yet there it was, glowing in the center of the chamber, pulsing stronger with each second. "Shut it down," growled one of the senators, a reptilian from the Drask Dominion. His claws tapped nervously on the metal surface. "It's a trap," but the technicians hesitated. Something in the signal resisted their commands. The image focused, sharper now. The blue-green world filled the room, turning slowly beneath clouds of fire and smoke. Cities burned, oceans boiled, and then a shadow appeared on the screen, a tall figure. The chamber lights dimmed automatically as the transmission took full control. The being was human, though altered by war and time. His armor was blackened and cracked, marked by strange glowing veins of blue energy. His left eye glowed the same blue, scanning the room as if he could see the council members themselves. The badge on his chest read, "General Marcus Hale, Earth Defense Command." Some of the younger species leaned forward, curious. Others recoiled, whispering in panic. For 100 years, humanity was a story, a cautionary tale about violence and pride. The Council had declared Earth a lost world after the Cleansing War, assuming no one survived. Now a ghost stood before them. The hologram flickered once more, then stabilized. The human's voice broke through, cold, clear, without emotion. "You came to our home. You burned our skies. Now, you face us." Every sound in the chamber vanished. Even the hum of the walls seemed to die away. The image behind him changed, scenes of Earth's rebirth. Vast craters turned into cities of steel. Broken satellites welded together to form massive shipyards. Human fleets assembling in orbit, their engines glowing like dying stars. Armies marching through deserts of ash, raising banners of silver and blue. The council elder, an ancient Xeran with long silver tendrils, hissed through trembling lips. "Impossible." "Humans were supposed to be extinct," another voice replied, quiet and cold. "Then what are we watching?" No one answered. The human continued speaking, his tone measured and terrifying in its calm. "You thought we would fade. You thought time would erase us. But you forget what it means to be human. We adapt, we endure. We rise." The recording shifted again. A massive structure floated above Earth. A fortress ship larger than anything the Council had ever seen. Its hull shimmered with black armor, carrying symbols no one recognized. "Identify that vessel," demanded the Drask senator. The Council's AI core processed the image, its mechanical voice echoing through the chamber. "Unknown class. Power levels unstable but immense. Source human origin confirmed." The senator's eyes widened. "That's not possible." But the AI corrected him coldly. "Possible or not, it exists." The camera zoomed in on the fortress. Thousands of human soldiers stood in its hangars, saluting as their general passed by. "We are not the same as before," Hale's voice continued. "We learned from your wars, your lies, your cruelty. You wanted a new order? Fine, we'll show you one." In the corner of the chamber, the Thalorian ambassador whispered, "If they can build fleets like this, they could challenge the Council itself," interrupted the elder. The words hung in the air like smoke. Then the recording flickered again. For a moment it showed something strange, an alien battleship drifting, torn apart. Its insignia was unmistakable, the Drask Dominion. A human voice, not Hale's, came through the static. "To the Council, this is payback." The feed cut to black. Silence returned. Then the screen lit once more, showing General Hale's face close to the camera. His one glowing eye stared directly at them. His voice dropped to a whisper. but it was the kind of whisper that carried more power than any shout. "You wanted a war." He leaned closer. "You'll have one." The screen went dark. No one moved. No one spoke. The Galactic Council, the same body that had once commanded the destruction of planets, sat frozen in fear. The Elder finally broke the silence. "Reopen all defense grids. Alert the fleets. Humanity has declared war." But deep down, every being in that room knew something dreadful. This was not the start of a war. It was payback for one. Across the stars, news spread faster than light. From the frozen moons of Calth to the molten skies of Etherion, every world whispered the same chilling words: the humans are awake. And somewhere, far away, in the shadows between galaxies, the Iron Dawn, humanity's reborn fleet, prepared for its first strike. The council chamber dimmed as the hologram faded into black. Yet the silence that followed was heavier than war itself. It felt alive, pressing down on every heart, because now the galaxy finally remembered what humanity was. And it trembled. The hologram had ended, but its echo refused to die. Long after the chamber lights returned to full brightness, the members of the Galactic Council still sat frozen, each haunted by the same thought. Humanity lives. The Zyran Elder rose slowly from his seat. His tendrils trembled as he faced the others. "This is not possible," he whispered, though even he didn't believe his own words. The cleansing was complete. Earth was erased, but the truth shimmered before them in hard evidence. The face of General Marcus Hale, the fleets behind him, the unmistakable human resolve. No one spoke for a long time. Then the Drask senator slammed his clawed hand against the metal table. "If this is real, then the greatest failure in council history has returned to burn us." The Nithian ambassador, a small being with translucent skin, looked around nervously. "We cannot allow panic to spread. If the outer systems hear this transmission, we'll face uprisings across half the galaxy." But panic was already spreading. In the lower decks of the council capital, whispers had started: smugglers, traders, and mercenaries sharing forbidden footage of the human general's speech. On hundreds of worlds, beings who had once fought under the council banner watched the broadcast and felt something they hadn't felt in centuries: fear. The humans had not just returned. They had evolved. Hours later, the council's highest chamber, known as the Vault of Memory, opened for an emergency session. Only a handful of individuals in the galaxy even knew it existed. Inside were records the council had sworn never to reveal, documents from the war they tried to erase from history. The Zyran Elder motioned toward a crystalline sphere in the center of the room. It glowed faintly, showing fragments of the past. Humans fighting, dying, refusing to surrender. "Activate file. Operation Cleansing," the Elder ordered. The sphere expanded into a panoramic display. The chamber filled with scenes of chaos. Ships burning, continents collapsing under orbital strikes, the sky of Earth turning red. The Nithian ambassador flinched. "They fought even when they knew they would lose," the Drask general hissed. "They were animals. They didn't know how to surrender." But a quieter voice came from the shadows, Ambassador Reth from the aquatic world of Varlan. "No," he said slowly. "They knew exactly what surrender meant. That's why they refused." The footage showed human cities launching missiles, even as alien fleets rained plasma down upon them. One clip showed a human soldier, face blackened by soot, carrying a wounded child through burning streets. Another showed a group of humans attaching engines to broken satellites, turning them into weapons. The Zyran Elder closed his eyes. "We called them primitive. Yet look at what they did with so little." "Enough," snapped the Drask general. "The past is dust. The present is what matters. If they have rebuilt, we crush them again before they spread." But the Nithian ambassador leaned forward, eyes wide. "Crush them. You saw their fleets. They've advanced far beyond what they once were. You cannot crush what no longer fears death." A deep, uneasy silence fell again. The Elder finally spoke. "Then the cleansing failed. We killed their world, not their will. Far away on the edges of known space, the human colonies stirred. In hidden outposts buried within asteroid belts, engineers worked without rest. Machines roared. Sparks rained down. Ships that had once been silent relics now came alive again. General Marcus Hale stood on the command deck of the Iron Dawn, staring through reinforced glass at the distant stars. His reflection stared back, tired, scarred, unyielding. Behind him, his second-in-command, Commander Rhea Voss, approached. "The Council has seen the message," she said quietly. "Good," Hale replied. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "Let them remember what they did." Rhea hesitated. "You know what comes next. They'll send everything they have." "They already did," Hale said, "a century ago. And we're still here." Outside the window, the fleet shimmered in the darkness, hundreds of ships forged from scavenged metal and stolen alien parts. Every piece told a story of survival. The stars were silent, but something was moving among them. Something vast, something human. Across the void, the fleet known as the Iron Dawn came alive. It had no single homeworld, no central command base, only a network of hidden stations and exiled colonies that had built in secret for a century. Each ship was a survivor's dream made of scraps, alien hulls welded with human steel, plasma cannons fueled by modified engines, and code rewritten to do the impossible. To outsiders, the fleet looked uneven, even ugly. But to those who understood, it was a living monument, a reminder that humanity had been burned but never erased. General Marcus Hale stood at the observation deck of the flagship Iron Dawn Prime. The glass stretched from floor to ceiling, giving him an unbroken view of the stars. Below, engineers rushed through metal corridors, and hangar doors opened one by one as fighters launched into formation. "Fleet status report," Hale ordered quietly. His voice carried through the command bridge like a pulse. Commander Rhea Voss turned from the control panel. Her short hair shimmered in the blue light of the console. "All 12 primary fleets ready, sir. The secondary battalions await your word. Cloak systems are online. We are invisible for now." Hale nodded slowly. "Good. The Council believes they still control the galaxy. Let's remind them what control costs." Far across the void, in the Council's core systems, panic spread like a virus. Dozens of species scrambled to reinforce their borders. The Drask Dominion deployed their Crimson Armadas to protect trade routes. The Nithians reinforced their moons with defense grids. The Zyrans, once calm and logical, held emergency prayers for safety. But it was already too late. The first reports arrived within hours. A Council convoy vanished near the asteroid belt of Clythe. No distress signal, no debris, just silence. Then another report. A fortress moon overrun. Entire fleets lost contact. At first, the Council thought it was coincidence, but then a single drone returned from the darkness. Its recording played across the chamber in front of every Council delegate. The feed was grainy, distorted by radiation, but the image was unmistakable. Human soldiers walking through the smoke of an alien city. Their armor was scarred, their visors cracked. In one soldier's hand fluttered a flag, tattered, blackened, marked with one word in white. Home. The Council erupted into chaos. Voices shouted in fear and fury. "They are attacking our colonies. We must strike back. Find their fleet before they reach the core." The Zyran elder rose slowly, his tendrils coiling in distress. "We thought we could erase them," he said softly. "So now they erase us?" Meanwhile, on the outskirts of a dying star, the Iron Dawn fleet regrouped. The smaller ships orbited like wolves around the flagship. Inside the war room, holograms of the Council's sectors glowed red, each marking a system that once helped destroy Earth. Commander Voss pointed to one of them. Taraxis Prime, a fortress world. Heavy defenses, but also the Council's main fuel hub. If we take it, we cripple them. Hale studied the map silently. His eyes reflected the shifting stars. "Taraxis Prime," he repeated. "They built their empire on the ashes of ours. So it's fitting." Rhea hesitated. "It'll cost us, sir. Thousands of lives." He turned toward her, his voice low. "It already has." He stepped closer to the central console and touched the glowing red symbol of Taraxis. "Prepare the fleet. We move at dawn." As the human ships aligned, their engines hummed in rhythm, an eerie song in the dark. No signals were sent, no radio chatter exchanged. They didn't need it. The fleet moved as one, guided by light pulses and silent coordination. Each ship's crew had been trained since birth for this, descendants of those who had escaped the cleansing. In the deep black of space, the Iron Dawn vanished. The stars swallowed them whole. Moments later, Taraxis Prime's defense grid detected nothing but static. On the surface of Taraxis Prime, alien soldiers went about their routines, unaware of what was coming. The fortress world was considered untouchable. Its skies were layered with shield arrays. Its cities were built inside mountains. No one had ever breached it, until now. At precisely 03 Zaran local time, a single flash split the sky. One of the moons exploded silently, scattering debris across orbit. The defenders panicked, scanning for enemies, but the scanners found nothing. Then came the second flash, and the third. Invisible ships decloaked above the clouds, dropping metallic pods that streaked through the atmosphere like meteors. Each pod carried human soldiers, the Reclaimers. They landed hard, cutting through steel and stone. The aliens barely had time to react before the first wave hit. Plasma bursts filled the air. Human voices echoed through the chaos, disciplined and furious. For Earth! For every world they burned. The battle was brutal and fast. Human mechs crushed defenses that had stood for centuries. Drones hacked into planetary networks, shutting down shields from within. The sky turned red as Tiraxis Prime, once proud, once untouchable, fell. When the smoke cleared, a single transmission left the planet. It was short, unencrypted, and broadcasted across the galaxy. This is General Marcus Hale of Earth Defense Command. Tiraxis Prime has fallen. We don't conquer. We reclaim. Back on Virith, the council chamber fell into chaos once more. Generals shouted over one another, trying to hide their fear behind protocol. The Drask senator slammed his fist against the table. They're monsters, the Nethian ambassador trembled. No, he whispered. They're survivors. The Zyran elder closed his eyes. And they just reminded the galaxy what survival looks like. As Hale stood among the ruins of Tiraxis Prime, he looked up at the stars. His armor was cracked, his hands blackened with dust. Around him, soldiers raised their flag. The symbol of Earth glowed faintly on the fabric, stained but unbroken. Rhea approached him quietly. We did it, sir. The world is ours. Hale didn't answer at first. His gaze remained fixed on the horizon where alien cities burned. Finally he said, no, it's not ours. It's the first step, she frowned. The council will retaliate, he nodded. Good, let them come. It's time they learned what humanity truly is. The fleet rose from the ashes of Tiraxis Prime, its engines flaring brighter than the sun. Across the galaxy, species watched the news in disbelief. Humanity, once thought extinct, had just destroyed a fortress world in a single night. And in the deep silence between stars, every empire felt the same cold realization creeping in. The Iron Dawn had risen. The news of Tiraxis Prime's fall spread faster than light. Every corner of the galaxy echoed with disbelief. A fortress world, one the Galactic Council had claimed could never fall, was gone. Its armies wiped out. Its cities turned to dust. And the message that followed from General Marcus Hale played on every frequency. We don't conquer, we reclaim. Those 5 words shook the foundations of the Council more than the destruction itself, because they weren't words of madness or revenge, they were words of purpose. Humanity wasn't just attacking. It was rebuilding what was stolen. The Council convened in emergency session. The chamber, once glowing with calm blue light, now pulsed with red alerts. Dozens of alien representatives shouted over one another. They must be stopped, screamed the Drask general, pounding his clawed hand on the table. They're terrorists, another yelled. They're ghosts from the ashes. Or justice wearing flesh, whispered a trembling Nethian, though no one dared respond to that. At the center of the chaos sat Elder Varan of the Zyran species, his tendrils coiled tight around the base of his seat. He had seen countless wars, countless empires rise and fall, but this felt different. Enough, he said finally, his voice echoing through the hall. Order must be restored. Bring forth the archives. At his command, the room dimmed. A hologram rose from the center, footage from centuries ago. The destruction of Earth. The moment the Council had sealed humanity's fate. Flames. Crumbling cities. Oceans boiling under plasma fire. Children crying in bunkers. And through it all, Council warships orbiting above the clouds. Silence filled the chamber. The past hung before them like a ghost. Ambassador Reth from Valen spoke softly. We called it a cleansing. But what we did was extermination. Do not twist history, growled the Drask general. They defied the Council. They refused unity. They refused slavery, Reth corrected. There's a difference. The elder closed his eyes. Enough. The humans have made their judgment. The question now is, do we repeat our mistake or do we face it? While the council argued, messages from across the galaxy poured in. Whole colonies were rebelling. Some refused to fight the humans at all. Others even sent secret supplies to the Iron Dawn fleet. The idea of humanity, of strength born from struggle, was spreading faster than the council could contain. In the shadows of the chamber, the council's military command, known as the Triarch Directorate, watched silently. When the shouting ended, their leader, a tall being in crimson armor, stepped forward. "Elder Varin," he said, "the time for debate is over. The time for action begins." The elder looked up. "And what action do you suggest?" The commander's voice was like steel. "If humanity believes they can defy the galaxy, then the galaxy will remind them who rules it. We will strike Earth itself." The room froze. "You can't," whispered Reth. "That planet is sacred now, a grave." "It's not a grave," the commander said coldly. "It's a nest. Destroy it again and the humans will fall." The elder's voice trembled. "You already tried that, and now they have returned." But the Triarch commander had already made his decision. The galaxy was no longer silent. It roared. After the broadcast, every world, every station, every ship was talking about humanity. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Council had lost control of the narrative. Entire species questioned their loyalty. Some whispered, maybe the humans were right. Others vowed vengeance, but in the black between stars, fleets began to move. Not the Council's this time, humanity's. Deep inside the command bridge of the Iron Dawn Prime, General Marcus Hale stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. The warfronts glowed red, Council-controlled worlds, while scattered blue sparks showed humanity's allies and hidden strongholds. Commander Rhea Voss leaned over the console. "Council intelligence confirms it. The Triarch Directorate is mobilizing 3 fleets towards Sol." Hale's voice was calm, but the air around him felt heavy. "They're coming for Earth. Then we'll meet them halfway," said Rhea, her eyes cold. "We strike before they reach the system." Hale shook his head slowly. "No, we can't win that battle head-on. They outnumber us 20-1. But we can make them bleed." He zoomed the hologram in on a strategic choke point. The Veil Corridor, a narrow hyperspace route connecting Council space to the Sol frontier. Every major fleet had to pass through it. Every convoy relied on its navigation gates. Rhea's lips curved slightly. "A trap." "Not a trap," Hale said. "A message." Far from the Iron Dawn fleet, the Council armadas began their approach. The flagship Eternal Vigilance, a colossal battle station larger than any human city, led the formation. Within its central chamber, Triarch Commander Kyle Rovik stood before a view of the stars. His armor gleamed like blood in starlight. "Begin the transition sequence," he ordered. "When we reach Sol, burn everything." A junior officer hesitated. "Sir, reports indicate several species are refusing their orders. Some have deserted." Rovik turned his head slightly, then erased their homeworlds. The officer froze. "But," Rovik's eyes burned, "if they won't obey, they don't deserve to live under the Council's protection." The officer bowed his head. "As you command." But as the commander looked back to the stars, even he couldn't shake a strange feeling. Something about the humans' broadcast lingered in his mind. The defiance, the certainty, the promise of a war they didn't fear. He whispered to himself, "You can't fight the galaxy, General Hale." Yet somewhere deep within him, a small voice asked, "Then why does it feel like he already has?" At the edge of the Veil Corridor, humanity's fleet waited in silence. Hundreds of stealth cruisers hung in the void, engines cold, power signatures muted. The stars around them shimmered through black hulls coated with adaptive plating. Every ship bore the same emblem, a fractured circle around a rising sun. Commander Rhea stood on her bridge, watching as the enemy fleet approached the corridor. "Contact in 3 minutes," Athena, the ship's AI, announced. "Their formation is tight, shields at full charge." "Perfect," Rhea murmured. "Just like the simulation." Across the fleet, systems powered up. Missiles, drones, and rail cannons hummed to life. Human soldiers checked their weapons in the cold blue light of readiness. General Hale's voice came through the comms, steady, low, unyielding. "We don't fight for vengeance. We fight to survive. When the Council enters the Veil, make them remember what it means to corner humanity." "Engines online," Rhea ordered. "Activate Phase 1. The moment the Council fleet entered the corridor, the trap closed. Every navigation beacon along the hyperspace lane suddenly went dark. The gravitational fields twisted. Ships jerked out of warp, colliding and scattering. Alarms blared through the alien armadas as formation broke into chaos, and then from the shadows the humans struck. Invisible cruisers ignited their drives and fired at once. Hypersonic kinetic rounds tore through the first wave of Council frigates, shattering hulls and ripping through shields. Explosions flared like dying suns. On the flagship Eternal Vigilance, Commander Rovik shouted, "Shields to full! Return fire! Identify their position!" But there was nothing to identify. Only flashes of light and death in every direction. One alien officer screamed, "They're everywhere!" "No," Rovik hissed, watching another cruiser explode. "They're nowhere." Humanity's stealth fleet moved like ghosts. Their ships appeared, struck, then vanished into darkness again. The Council's superior numbers meant nothing. They were blind, panicked, broken apart. In the middle of the chaos, a single human vessel, the Revenant, charged straight toward the enemy flagship. Its captain, Elias Thorne, locked his ship's trajectory and grinned through the shaking cockpit. "For Earth," he whispered. The Revenant collided with the Vigilance's forward hangar and detonated its payload, a gravity implosion warhead. The blast didn't just destroy, it folded space around itself. Half the Vigilance's hull disappeared in an instant. Rovik was thrown across the command bridge as alarms screamed. Smoke filled the air. He staggered up, blood dripping from his jaw. "Seal compartments!" He barked. "Do not let them—" Another blast rocked the ship. A human boarding pod slammed into the damaged section, cutting through the armor like a knife. Out poured soldiers in black exosuits, rifles glowing with blue plasma. Humanity had boarded the unthinkable, the heart of the Council's might. Rovik stared at them through the smoke. "You fools! You think you can win?" The lead soldier raised his weapon. "No," he said through the helmet. "We think you should listen." Back aboard the Iron Dawn Prime, Rhea received the transmission. "The Vigilance is crippled. Enemy fleet is retreating." A ripple of silence spread through the bridge. Then, for the first time in centuries, humanity had achieved the impossible. They had beaten the Council in open combat. Rhea turned toward Hale. "We did it." "They're running." Hale's eyes stayed fixed on the holographic map. "No, they're regrouping." This was only the beginning. Athena's voice cut through the tension. "General, incoming transmission. Origin, Council Command." Elder Varen himself, Rhea's eyes widened. "The Elder?" Hale nodded. "Put him through." The hologram flickered, revealing the tired, solemn face of the Zyran Elder. His voice was quiet, but heavy with dread. "General Hale, you've won this battle, but listen to me. There are forces within the Council you cannot imagine. The Directorate will not stop. They've activated something older than our species, something buried beneath the core of the galaxy." Hale frowned. "What are you talking about?" "You must understand, if they unleash it, no one, Council or human, will survive." The transmission ended abruptly. For a moment, the bridge was silent. Only the hum of the ship filled the air. Rhea looked at Hale. What did he mean by something older? Hale's voice was low. "Whatever it is, it's the real enemy." He turned back to the stars. "And if the Council won't stop it, humanity will." The war had paused, but the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. After the destruction of the Council's flagship, the Eternal Vigilance, word spread faster than light. Entire worlds rebelled. Systems once loyal to the Galactic Council began sending secret messages to Earth. The name humanity became both a warning and a promise. But General Marcus Hale didn't celebrate. He stood on the observation deck of the Iron Dawn Prime, watching the stars drift slowly past. His reflection stared back, eyes tired, face marked by too many battles. Commander Rhea Voss approached quietly. "You haven't slept in 3 days." Hale gave a faint smile. "The Council isn't sleeping either." Rhea crossed her arms. "You're thinking about that message." "The Elder's warning," he nodded. "Something older than the Council itself. Something buried beneath the core of the galaxy. If they're desperate enough to use it, then this war is about to turn into something worse. Deep beneath the galactic core, in a chamber that hadn't been opened for 10,000 years, machines began to hum. Triarch Commander Kael Rovik, scarred and furious after his defeat, knelt before a glowing sphere of black light. He was surrounded by the remaining high commanders of the council. "Are you certain this is wise?" asked one of them, his voice trembling. Rovik rose to his feet. "Wise? No, necessary?" "Absolutely. Humanity has humiliated us. Our fleets scatter. Our citizens question our power. The council will fall unless we remind them who rules the stars." He turned to the sphere. "Activate the Obsidian Protocol," the others gasped. One shouted, "That weapon was sealed for a reason." "The Founders banned its use," Rovik sneered. "The Founders are dust, and I will not lose to a primitive species that crawled out of a dead world." The chamber's lights dimmed. Energy surged through the floor, and the sphere expanded, filling the room with a pulse that rippled through the entire sector. Far away, stars flickered. Ancient satellites long thought dead began to awaken. Something vast and hidden beneath the galactic plane began to stir. Metal plates the size of continents, shifting in the dark. A sleeping machine. A god built by hands long gone. The true weapon of the Council's ancestors. Back on the Iron Dawn Prime, the ship's AI Athena broke the silence. "General, I am detecting gravitational anomalies across the central core. Patterns match nothing in known physics." Hale frowned. "Show me." The hologram of the galaxy appeared, the center glowing with strange waves of energy. Rhea leaned forward. "What in hell is that?" Athena's tone dropped. "It appears to be a superstructure beneath the galactic core. Estimated size, 3 times larger than Earth's moon." Hale's eyes narrowed. "A weapon?" "Possibly," Athena said. "Whatever it is, it's waking up." Rhea stared at the map. "The Council's losing the war." For 3 long days, the galaxy stood in silence. Every species, council, rebel, human, watched the center of the galaxy flicker with faint light, then go dark. The great star maps of entire civilizations showed a void where the core should have been. The obsidian weapon, the machine built by the ancients, had vanished into nothing. And so had humanity's greatest ship. Across colonies and worlds, humans waited. Families huddled around transmitters. Soldiers stood motionless in command rooms, and children stared at the skies that still glowed faintly from the blast. They all whispered the same question. Did they make it? On the 4th day, a weak signal broke through. Static, then a voice, tired, scarred, but alive. "This is General Marcus Hale. Humanity stands." The words spread faster than light. In the streets of New Berlin, people cheered. On the moons of Titan, engineers cried openly. Even in alien cities, crowds gathered around public displays, silent, listening. The galaxy that once tried to erase humanity now listened in awe. But the message didn't stop there. "The obsidian core has been destroyed. The Council's weapon is gone. The rift is collapsing, and our ships, we're coming home." Then silence again. The signal ended, but the message stayed burned into every heart. Humanity had done the impossible. Again, far from Earth, inside what remained of the Iron Dawn Prime, alarms flickered dimly. The ship was drifting near the outer edge of the Maelstrom Rift, half its hull torn away. Commander Rhea Voss awoke to the sound of metal creaking. The bridge was dark, lit only by the dying glow of the main console. She reached for her headset. "Athena," the AI's voice crackled faintly. "Still here, barely. Power levels at 6%. Crew, most are alive." Rhea pulled herself upright, coughing. "And Hale?" A pause. Then Athena replied softly, "He's on the command deck." Rhea stumbled through smoke and debris, stepping over broken consoles and shattered glass. The once mighty command deck was half gone, open to the stars. Marcus Hale stood near the viewport, his armor scorched, his left arm wrapped in torn cloth. He turned as she approached, faint light reflecting in his blue cybernetic eye. "You're awake," Rhea smiled weakly. "You did it, sir." He looked out toward the galaxy's edge, where distant stars shimmered like memories. "We did it." Behind them, the remnants of the human fleet drifted silently, fractured but alive. The Iron Dawn Prime was crippled, but its heart still burned. Hale turned to the console. "Athena, status on hyperspace drives?" "Reconstruction possible in 40 hours, the AI answered. "If we don't fall apart first." Rhea leaned against the console, exhausted. "And the Council?" Athena paused. "Scattered, leaderless, some fleets are surrendering. Others are contacting us directly." Hale nodded slowly. "Then maybe there's still hope." Meanwhile, on the Council world of Zir, Elder Varen stood before what was left of the Galactic Council. The once grand hall was quiet, half its members absent. Varen's voice echoed through the chamber. "The humans destroyed the obsidian core. The war is over." One alien shouted from the shadows. "You call this peace? Our fleets are gone. Our cities burn." Varen looked at him calmly. "Because we made them burn. We chose domination over understanding. And now the ones we feared most are the ones who saved us all." Silence filled the room. Even those who hated humanity couldn't argue. Varen raised his hand. "From this day forward, humanity will not be hunted. They will have a seat among us." Another delegate hissed. "You would give them power? I would give them justice," Varen said. "Because they earned it with fire and blood, and because the galaxy cannot survive another war like this." Slowly, one by one, the council members bowed their heads. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council voted to recognize Earth as a sovereign equal. Weeks later, Earth was alive again. Skies once filled with warships now shone with peace cruisers and trade vessels. Cities rebuilt under the light of twin moons. Humanity had changed, stronger, wiser, still carrying scars but unbroken. At the new capital, the Unity Spire, delegates from dozens of species gathered to sign the first Galactic Charter. Cameras hovered around the crowd as General Hale stepped forward, wearing the same scarred armor from the war. The audience fell silent as he stood at the podium. His voice was steady, but there was a deep sadness beneath it. "We were told we were too dangerous to live, too wild to trust. They tried to erase us, but humanity doesn't vanish. We endure." He looked out over the alien leaders, the same ones who once ordered his people's destruction. "You called us monsters." "Maybe we were, but monsters can learn. We've seen what fear does, how it builds weapons, how it destroys worlds. We won't let fear rule this galaxy again." He paused, letting the silence stretch. "Home isn't a planet. It's the people willing to stand for each other. That's what makes us human. And maybe that's what makes us all alive." The hall erupted in applause, not just from humans, but from every species present. Elder Varen rose slowly, his silver tendrils glinting in the light. "For the first time we stand together. May the Iron Dawn never fall again." That night, Hale stood alone on a balcony overlooking the shining city. Rhea joined him, her uniform clean for once, though the scar across her cheek still showed. "Feels strange," she said quietly. "After everything, the galaxy is peaceful." Hale gave a small smile. "For now," she looked at him. "You don't believe it'll last?" "Peace never does," he said. "But maybe this time it'll last long enough to matter." They stood together in silence, watching the stars. Far above Earth, the rebuilt Iron Dawn Prime drifted in orbit, a monument and a warning. Its hull gleamed with new metal, but the old scars remained, kept intentionally visible. On its side, beneath the symbol of a rising sun, 3 words were etched in bold letters: "We stand together." Inside, a small crew maintained patrol, humans and aliens alike. For the first time, the ship's command was shared between both. Commander Rhea sent a transmission to Hale's console. "All systems stable. No threats detected." "The Iron Dawn stands ready," Hale replied. "Keep her that way. The stars will always need watchers." As months turned into years, stories of the war became legends. Children across worlds learned the name Marcus Hale, the way their ancestors once learned myths of heroes. But Hale never called himself a hero. He called himself a soldier who refused to give up. He often walked through the rebuilt memorial at New Geneva, where a wall of light displayed every name lost in the war: human, alien, friend, and foe. When asked by a journalist what humanity had gained from all of it, he answered simply, "Perspective. We learned that survival isn't just about strength, it's about unity. We were alone once, never again." And yet sometimes, in the far reaches of the cosmos, travelers claim to see something in the distance, dark fragments drifting near the collapsed galactic core. Pieces of the obsidian weapon, silent, waiting, as if the stars themselves remembered the war. But for now, the galaxy slept peacefully. On the horizon of dawn, Earth shone like a jewel in the dark. Alive once more, humanity had done what no one else could. They had faced extinction, defied the impossible, and risen from the ashes, not to conquer but to endure. And in the end, their greatest weapon was never their fleets, their guns, or their fire. It was their unbreakable will, because when the galaxy came for their home, humanity didn't kneel. They stood, And the stars would remember that forever.